Hi again everybody. Right, what am I up to today? Well, I'm going to start today. I've finally got all of my parts together to start my upgrades on my car. So I've laid them all out and you can see what I've got there. So I've got the Steeda Diff Bush support kit there with the red bushes and the black bushes. I've got the BMR lockout kit for the subframe, the rear subframe, for the location of that. I've got the Steeda anti-roll bar, rear anti-roll bar, and the sport linear springs to go on. I've got the Steeda Diff Bush supports, which I'm actually not sure if they work with the BMR kit, but I think the back ones will go in, and the front ones I might be able to do something with them. I'll cut them down on the lathe if I need to, but if I don't use them it doesn't matter because I've got the other kit anyway. I've got oil for the diff. I'm going to do a diff oil change because I've chose the red line stuff. I'm up to 3,000 miles now. I'd like to get the original oil out and put a nice fresh mix of oil in. I've got the Ford Racing bump stops to go with the new springs. I've got the Baller resonator. This is to replace the X-pipe on my Ford Racing touring exhaust, which I find a little bit too raspy and high RPM gets on my nerves a little bit. So I've bought this this Baller resonator. Actually, it's really good. It's I expect not many people have seen these, but there's not a lot in there, so it's not going to silence it down too much, but I'm hoping it's going to just take out that raspiness from the exhaust at the higher RPMs. So be interesting to see what that sounds like. I'm looking forward to that when I get around to fitting it. And then at the front, obviously I've got the front springs. Again, the sport linear springs are going to drop the car about an inch. Bump stops again, and I've got the BMR camber adjustment bolts. So when I'm going to start this job, basically what I'm going to do is start it off by getting all four wheels off the ground. I've got my Steeda jacking rails, so I'm going to get it all up on 4 axle stands, nice and high. Start at the back, do all the back work first, and then move to the front once the back's complete. So I'm going to start by removing the wheels. I'm going to remove the exhaust, I'm going to remove the sway bar, and I'm probably going to drop the subframe to get the bushes in, and the support kit for the diff. I think that's probably the easiest way. So it's going to be quite a big job for me because I'm not the most mobile of people, and I struggle a bit with my stiff joints, but I enjoy working on the car, so I'm quite looking forward to it. And the weather's a bit cooler now also. So yeah, there we have it. So I'll try and update this video a little bit as we go along. I was going to do, maybe I should do, I'll do a few little sound bites before and after as well. I'll do that now, and then you can hear what the exhaust sounds like as it is now, and then we'll see the difference directly when I put the new resonator on. So hold with me for a while. I'll get the car up on axle stands, and I'll do some small updates to this video as and when I do the job as I go along. Okay, catch you later guys. Okay, so I know most of you have heard it before, and so have I, but I just thought it'd be an instant comparison between what's on it now and what was going to be on it once I finished all this work. So I'll just do a little bit of a soundbite now, and then I'll start my work and do another one later on, and we can compare it like for like. Okay, back in a second. can't go too crazy because I think my next door neighbours who works shifts is probably in bed today, so I don't want to go upsetting them. But yeah, that gives you an idea of what it sounds like now. And I don't know if you heard, but when I was revving it, that raspiness at the sort of like 3,500–4,000 RPM, that's what I'm trying to get rid of. So yeah, so I'm going to start now, loosen all my wheels off and get it up in the air, and then we'll see where we are. Well, progress is being made. Got the car up on 4 axle stands, so it's nice and secure. Got it as high as I can, and so I'm going to start off. Got the wheels off on the rear. I'm going to start off by removing the exhaust, make myself plenty of room underneath. It's got to come off anyway because of the new silencer going on, and then the rear sway bar. Just a tip for one of you guys, whenever you're try and tackle a job like this, I like to, every tool that I get out I like to keep out, and then because you might need it again, so I keep a box with all the tools in and a box with all the nuts and bolts in. But one of my best tools for any job is this 1/2" drive Dewalt Impact Gun. Oh man, it saves so much time on everything. It's really, really good. So anybody who's planning on doing a bit of work on their car, if you can run to one of these, then I can say it's well worth it. This one's done masses of work and it's still going strong. So there. Anyway, so I'm going to carry on, and I shall update you as we go along. Okay guys, right, well, I've done one side. I've done the bushes, as you can see there, on the diff on that side, front and rear. I've done the spring, and I've done the BMR lockdown kit on that side, and I've got to tell you, it's tricky. Yeah, it takes a lot of pulling and rawming and fettling to get everything to fit properly. And just as an indication, just to show you how far this subframe is out, I don't know if you can spot there, but can you see where that bolt is coming through that subframe hole? Look how off center it is. Slightly out of focus, yeah, but look how off center it is. That's just as I'm dropping the subframe now, and the front one's the same. So if I can find it, yeah, it's down there. You can see it's right off center. So that's how much the subframe's going to have to come back to for everything to fit. What I found is that the BMR kit, as I suspected, does not work with the Steeda bushes. But I actually found another use for these. What I did was, it's because this piece on the BMR bracket goes up inside the subframe. Well, this also goes up inside the subframe. So what I did was, that's about 25mm, about an inch. So I cut an inch off of that, and then put that inside as well. And actually, although I didn't use this to locate the subframe, what I did do, on the other side obviously, I put it up inside. I put some threaded bar up through the hole there, then I put this onto the threaded bar, and that lined everything up for me, so I could then get the bolt in straight without cross threading or anything like that. So it was useful that I had these, even though, and then I just left it in anyway, because it's not going to do any harm in there, so just leave it in there. And similar on the back, although the back's not quite as difficult. So yeah, that's a little tip for them. Even if you buy them, they're not that expensive, so buy them and actually use them to align your subframe. Then you can get your bolt in without struggling. Now I managed to get all up to now on the other side. I got my bolts in without by hand. So, and the how I did that was I used a tap to tap the thread again, just to clear all the Loctite out, and I also used a die, and I ran the bolts through the die to get the Loctite off the bolts as well. And once I'd done that, they actually went in really, really nicely, nice and loose. So finger tight. So that's what I did, and then I knew I wasn't cross threading anything. So yeah, so what I've got to do now obviously is this side. So I've got to drop the subframe here and at the back there, get the diff bushes in, and get all the brackets on and reline it all up again. But I think this side will be easier because the other side's already in line now, but I've left it loose. So that's where I'm at the moment. I'll give you another update as I get a little bit further. Okay guys, catch you later. Okay guys, right, well, I'm just finally getting everything torqued down, and as you can see, this is how I used those bushes. So I know there's a few guys on the forums have been saying that they end up stripping threads when they're doing this job, but really there is no need to. Once it's in line, it does go in, and I can't believe my car's any different to anybody else's. So if you clean all the threads out and clean your bolts, you should, like this. You can see I've just got Loctite on that bolt. So this is the back subframe bolt on the left hand side. So as you can see, it should pretty much go all the way up by finger tight. Once you get that started like that, then there's no reason why you should get them cross threaded. So just take time, get it all lined up, and then do them up by hand rather than using a ratchet or a gun. But this is the final bolt, thankfully, and I'll just whip it up with my gun, and then I shall do a final torque with the torque wrench, and that's the subframe done, finished. Just got to put my new Steeda anti-roll bar on, sway bar, and that's the back end done. There you go.